What is up, guys? I have finally gotten my hands on the new DJI Mini 5 Pro, and I'm getting ready to take it for its very first test flight. Now, I know I initially said I wasn't going to get one of these, but all of you were wanting to see a review and content with this drone, so I ended up getting one anyway. Alrighty, we'll hand launch this thing. Woo, there we go. It is quite quiet. I haven't flown a mini drone in a while. I guess my reference is slightly louder drones, but not terribly loud. And looks like the sun is finally out, so let's try to shoot some footage. This here is just in auto mode in normal color profile. That's not usually what I shoot in, but we'll get a clip in that just for testing's sake, and that is looking very nice. It's just amazing that they've put basically the Air 3S's wide angle camera in almost sub 250 gram drone. It is just slightly over 251 grams, which is not as ideal. There we are at the edge of our altitude limit. We are going to increase our max altitude a bit because there are tall hills around here. And if I don't, I will whack right into the top of them. But I don't just want to shoot in auto mode the whole time. I usually shoot in manual mode. So we are going to switch over here into manual. And most importantly, we're going to switch from normal color profile to D-Log M, turn off our auto white balance. And if you want to see all of my cinematic settings for the Mini 5 Pro, I put them all into a PDF checklist that you can download completely for free. Link to that is down in the description. And let's get some cool drone shots. We are currently still here in normal mode, so we should have full 360 obstacle avoidance. Now, obviously, you don't want to trust that too much, but it is better than not having obstacle avoidance, certainly. And that is looking absolutely beautiful. Looks like we've got some pretty good signal range on this drone, right up there with the best of DJI's stuff. And I'm surprised we're still, oh, there we go, we're starting to get a little bit low signal, so we are going to start coming back. And one of the things I've been super interested in with this drone is that it has this 2x camera mode. So let's try that out. Honestly, that was one of the main reasons why I was initially not excited about the Mini 5 Pro versus, for example, the Air 3S, is because it lacked any kind of telephoto camera mode. But DJI basically immediately added this 48mm camera, which is kind of like cropping into the main camera. But apparently it is pretty good quality. You can see right now what kind of quality it is on the screen. It's a little bit hard to tell on this remote, but from what I've seen, it should be quite solid, at least for just cropping into the camera, much better than typical digital zoom. Now, one of the main features on the Mini 5 Pro is that it can flip the camera and shoot vertical videos. So we are going to go ahead and do that and flip over into sport mode so that we can fly a little bit faster. And there we go, nice full 4K vertical video. And if I am not mistaken, we should have our full tilt range all the way up to the top. You can see we're getting a little bit of something in the edge of the frame, probably the props there, at full speed, but we can also tilt all the way down while still flying at the max speed. And then we'll get a nice smooth tilt up and just ease out as we come to the horizon. Now, it's going to be very difficult to fly that smoothly with the default settings on the drone, but I've already loaded my custom gain and expo tuning settings onto the Mini 5 Pro. And if you want to use those same settings on your drone, they are in my free cinematic settings checklist. Again, link to download it is in the description. And now we'll crop back into our 2x telephoto camera, and we're going to get some nice depth compression action on our vertical camera. This looks really nice. And let's switch back over to horizontal because I am mainly a horizontal video guy. And it looks like the dynamic range on this drone is pretty good here. I'm shooting basically towards the sun, and as you can see, the foreground is a little bit dark, but if we look here in our histogram, I'm still keeping all the data in the foreground and in the clouds, and I can then just color grade it to pull all that dynamic range back out and be able to see both in the shadows and the highlights at the same time. And another cool feature here on the Mini 5 Pro is that you can do the full gimbal rotation and twist as you fly. I kind of think that's a gimmick. I haven't used it a ton on the Mavic 4 Pro, which also has that, but on the Mavic 4 Pro, you're really limited in the gimbal tilt that you can use it with, so it might be more useful on here. So to be able to tilt the gimbal, I'm actually going to go here into the control menu down under our button customization, and I'm going to set my right dial from zoom in out, which you don't really want to do because you either want to be using the 1x or 2x crop for the best results, no zoom in between. And instead, I'm going to switch over here to control and click on gimbal roll. And now I can just tilt the camera down, and I'm going to roll a little bit off to the side here. And then I'm going to start recording and start pulling back, tilting the gimbal up and rolling as we go back. And that creates, kind of a cool shot. I guess it's kind of cool. I'm not just super crazy about it. It's like, you could use it a few times, but just in general, it's more of just a dizzying effect. And it looks like we need to decrease our roll speed a little bit and increase the smoothness maybe a little. Again, all of these optimized settings will be in the cinematic settings checklist once I've determined all of the best settings, which you can see right here. That is much smoother than what we started with. So we'll just flip our gimbal back to centered. And really this is going to be a very familiar flight experience if you're used to a previous Mini like the Mini 4 Pro, or if you're used to an Air Series drone, Air 3, Air 3S. This is going to be basically the same thing. Looks like we are getting a solid 32 miles per hour out of the Mini 5 Pro, which is honestly pretty impressive. For a drone this size, it is just screaming across up there. Obviously not as fast as something like Air 3 or Air 3S or Mavic 4 Pro, but again, it is a nice and small and light drone. And we'll also get a couple shots here in hybrid log gamma mode, just for some variety. We're gonna again punch into the 2x camera so we get some more good examples of what 2x camera footage looks like. HLG is somewhere between normal color profile and D-Log M, so it's a little easier to color grade, but it can also do some strange things sometimes. I usually just shoot in D-Log M, but HLG can work well as well. And let's add a slow tilt up. Oh, and we got a bird flying right through the frame there. That was absolutely great. And it looks like we have some nice fall colors right here. Let's see what we can get. Get a nice smooth shot here. This is the nice thing about 4K 60. You don't really have to worry about shooting too fast because you can always take and slow the footage down in post. And look at those beautiful fall colors. And we'll switch back over to D-Log for comparison. Maybe brighten that up a little bit. Oh wow, there we just had a vulture fly directly under us. Hopefully we don't run into one, and we are just going to get a nice crispy shot of these beautiful fall colors. We're finally getting fall colors. It's mid-October and we barely have started to get cold weather, so I won't complain about that. And as you can see, we also have quite nice vision assist. This is very handy if you want to fly to the side or backwards, and it looks like it is good quality on the Mini 5 Pro, just like on the Air 3S. It doesn't have that weird stitching seam that you would often get on the Mavic 4 Pro. It looks like it might be a little bit lower frames per second, but all in all, it looks pretty good. Here's a pond. Let's see what kind of shot we can get of this pond. Very nice, very cinematic. I just love having a longer focal length option to get some depth compression, even if it is actually part of the same camera. And let's see what we can do here in the photo department as well. Switch over into photo mode. We're going to set our camera settings from JPEG to RAW, and we will set it to 50 megapixel because at least on the Air 3S, 50 megapixel did give somewhat better results than 12 megapixel. It's not really 50 megapixel like if it was 50 megapixel on a mirrorless camera, but it is going to be somewhat sharper than the 12 megapixel mode. And that is looking pretty nice. I'll throw these photos up on screen so you can see exactly what they look like. I'm not a huge photos guy, but looks like we've got some good stuff going on here. Now, as you can see, when I start to pull back, you do get a little bit of the looks like maybe the leg of the drone in the bottom of the camera feed when you are flying backwards, but that's only in photo mode. If we switch back over here to videos, you are not going to, actually you are going to get a little bit of it in there if you're flying backwards and to the side. That is quite interesting. It looks like when you are recording, actually, it seems to prevent that, but when you are not recording and just flying, then it will get the leg into your frame. So honestly, really smart engineering from DJI. If you're just flying around, it doesn't matter if it gets in the frame. And for photos as well, you can flip to a vertical format, which is nice if you want to, you know, post to Instagram or something like that, where it favors a vertical composition. Yeah, battery level's low, don't worry, I will come back. We can just get a really, really nice vertical composition photo that fits with the, you know, vertical 5x4, 4x5, whatever it is, aspect ratio on Instagram, etc. And we're just gonna bring it into land here. This actually has a pretty impressive downward speed. It can drop nice and quickly, and we're just going to bring it in and see if we can land it. Boom, there we go. First flight with the Mini 5 Pro. So thoughts on the Mini 4 Pro after the first flight. Have I changed my mind? Is this drone worth getting? Kind of. I obviously still have a lot more testing to do. I still kind of do like the Air 3S a bit better because it goes faster and has a dedicated 3x camera. And this drone is technically not quite under 250 grams. It's 251 grams. But I've got to say it's still very nice and light, way more hikeable or easy to throw in your bag and travel with than something like an Air 3S. So if that's the kind of thing you want to do with it, there is a very strong case to be made that it's the drone to get. Also, if you want to shoot vertical content, this is the drone to get. Vertical photos, vertical videos. I would say it's actually better than the Mavic 4 Pro for shooting vertical because you get your full gimbal tilt range, unlike the Mavic 4 Pro, where you are limited to about 10 degrees up and down when you are shooting in vertical mode. And if you want to learn how to get the most cinematic shots with your drone, whether that's a Mini 5 Pro or any other drone, I put together a completely free 45-minute drone filmmaking training where I share my top 10 secrets to getting cinematic shots, covering everything from the best settings to use, how to get smooth cinematic moves, how to edit your videos, how to color grade them, and a whole bunch more. Again, completely free, no strings attached, and link to that is down in the description. And if you want to go even deeper, I do have an entire 12-hour drone filmmaking course where I go into every single part of my process for creating cinematic drone videos, and link to that is in the description as well. You can click right here to watch another video on the Mini 5 Pro. And as always, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to see more videos just like it.